The Red Sox break our hearts once again as they blow the lead in the late innings and extra innings to be more specific and lose 6-5 to the Toronto Blue Jays to fall to 4 games under 500 with an overall record of 7-11 so far in this 2022 season. Not exactly how I expected my Tuesday night to go, but what's up, Locked On Red Sox? My name is Jake Ignaszewski. I'll be hosting solo tonight, and I am the Massachusetts Pirates team insider. And in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down the craziness that happened on Tuesday night against the Toronto Blue Jays, as well as giving my reaction to Monday night's game since I wasn't a part of last episode, and then going into a little bit of what is wrong with this Red Sox bullpen and how Heimblum needs to figure out this closing situation. Let's get into this episode.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We greatly appreciate everybody making the Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, wow, that's my reaction after the Red Sox 6-5 loss in the 10th inning off of a sac fly from Tapia that scores Bo Bichette from third base to ultimately hand the Red Sox their 11th loss of the season. What a heartbreaking loss, as the Red Sox going into the 9th inning had a 5-2 lead, and Jake Diekman blew it up. And honestly, going into that inning, I tweeted saying Diekman has been so inconsistent throughout this season. He either blows batters away or he blows up the game. And it was a little bit of both. He blew batters away with, some strikeouts to give the Red Sox 2 outs in the 9th inning. And then he allowed a 2-run home run to George Springer. But ultimately, he started the inning allowing back-to-back doubles to allow the Blue Jays to creep back to 5-3. And then, as I mentioned, that 2-run home run by George Springer to center field with 2 outs ultimately tied up the game to lead it to extra innings. And then they put in Matt Barnes. And this has been something that has been tough for Will Venable to figure out, of how to maneuver around this Red Sox bullpen, as Alex Cora is still not in the dugout for the Boston Red Sox, as he still is recovering from COVID-19. And it's tough to really blame Will Venable in these situations, since this Red Sox bullpen is really tough to figure out on which guys to put in which situations. You could say that you should have that the Red Sox should have put Matt Barnes in that situation, but at the same time, Barnes is ultimately the one who blew the game in the 10th inning. Even though Strahm was in and the one who gave up the sac fly, Barnes is ultimately the one who allowed a walk to load the bases, to have Strahm be put into such a tough situation. So, I mean, looking at that 10th inning a little bit closer, as I mentioned, we saw Matt Barnes intentionally walk Vladimir Guerrero, which I would have done the same thing if there was a runner on second base. And then he ultimately walked Alejandro Kirk to load up the bases. Then Matt Strahm was put into a situation where it's honestly tough to get out of. 1 out, bases loaded, and, the runner on third ultimately wins the game. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, Tapia hits a sac fly to score Bo Bichette, to ultimately break Red Sox Nation's heart, because it looked like that this was going to be a nice win, to where the Red Sox could tie up the series with the Blue Jays and start to get things rolling in the right direction. We saw the offense explode if that's how you want to use the adjective, that sort of adjective, in the eighth inning, where they ultimately scored 4 runs in 1 inning. I don't think that we've seen that so far this season. If you really look at the past few games, I think if you add up what the Red Sox have done over the last 3 to 4 games, that's adds up to 4 runs, which is so embarrassing. And that's something that Lauren and I have been harping on over these last few episodes, is that the offense has just been abysmal. And I tweeted at the top of that 8th inning, it'd be really nice if this Red Sox offense could actually score some runs and make it a close one, because it's sad to say that when the game was 2-1 going into that 8th inning with the Blue Jays leading, it was tough for me to have confidence that this Red Sox offense was going to string some things together to ultimately tie up the game and get the lead. But we saw Rafael Devers and Christian Vasquez hit back-to-back singles. And then we saw Trevor Story get a huge hit in the gap, doubling to score Rafael Devers. And then ultimately Alex Verdugo hitting a sac fly to make it a 3-2 game. Then Xander Bogaerts, with a man on second and third, hits a double to make it 4-2 to help his incredible game of a 3-4 game. At that time, he was 3-4, but he ultimately had a 3-5 game with an RBI. Has been one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter, in this Red Sox lineup throughout this season. The most consistent, I would say, other than Alex Verdugo. And then we ultimately saw Kike Hernandez single to drive in Xander Bogaerts, ultimately after JD Martinez grounded out. But it was really nice to see the Sox stringing together some hits. It was the first time where I was really excited about this Red Sox offense, I think, so far this season, which is really sad to say when we're 5 days away from May. But we've seen the Red Sox offense struggle time and time again in April. So it's not too surprising, but does not feel good going into May with an overall record. Well, hopefully that they can make it a little bit better than 7-11. But if they were able to make it 10-11, maybe it'll make fans feel a little bit better. But this loss really hurt. We saw Nick Pivetta bounce back a little bit, pitching 4 2/3, only allowing 3 hits, 2 earned runs. A little bit of progress from what we've seen so far from Nick Pivetta. Still had some trouble with his control. We saw him surrender 4 walks to Blue Jays hitters. Definitely not what you want to see out of your number 3 starter, or right now with Eovaldi as the 8th and Sale out, he's essentially the number 2 starter. He did strike out 6 batters, so that was very nice to see. But I feel like something that made me feel good about Nick Pivetta is he looked a lot more comfortable and confident with his pitches. We saw last week against the Blue Jays at Fenway, got blown up in 4 innings. But I still want to see Nick Pivetta go further. That just needs to happen. I mean, the Red Sox used the bullpen way too much today. I understand that it was a close game. They needed to do their best to try and win this game, especially with it going to extra innings. But at the same time, I'm going to talk about this in our second segment, it makes the bullpen super duper thin tomorrow in the 3rd game of this series, especially when you don't have guys like Tanner Houck or Carter Crawford to come in and, slot in with that bullpen because of their vaccination status. And, we got to put our trust in guys like Tyler Danish, who I was very impressed with Danish to start the season. And, I want to give a little bit of my thoughts on Monday night's game, because even though, the Red Sox ultimately lost 6-2, and it was due to that grand slam led up by Tyler Danish. Other than that, Danish has been very impressive in a Red Sox uniform. He's pitched very well on all of his other appearances so far for Boston. But I really do not understand what the decision making was by Will Venable to put in a fringe major league player, a guy who just got called up from Worcester for Cutter Crawford. And as I mentioned, is on the fringe of being a AAA major league player. You're going to put your trust in him in the 8th inning with bases loaded. Really? That does not make any sense to me. Not at all. Even though that there's not tons of guys in this Red Sox bullpen that I would put my full trust in, other than maybe Hansel Robles, I think is the only one, and Garrett Whitlock that I have trust in this Red Sox bullpen right now. I think a lot of people could agree with me on that, but that decision didn't make any sense to me. In no way am I defending Tyler Danish. You know, he threw a pitch right to Bo Bichette that allowed him to hit the grand slam. Yes, but I don't know. That decision didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Not a lot of the decisions by Will Venable so far have made a lot of sense to me, but that's why he's the bench coach and he's not the manager of the Boston Red Sox. So speed of recovery, outscore him. Can't wait until you come back. Hopefully you can put a spark into this Red Sox team, because things are very gloom and doom so far for the Boston Red Sox to start the 2022 season. But that's going to be a little bit of it for at least my rant about the first 2 games of the Toronto Blue Jays series. But in our next segment, I'm going to look into the 3rd game of the Blue Jays series tomorrow, or today, since I'm recording this on Tuesday night. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to go into a little bit of why I think that the Red Sox really need a 9th man guy. This closer by committee is getting pretty ridiculous. But first, I just want to take a second to talk to you about Athletic Greens. So Athletic Greens is something that I use every single day. It's something that helps me with some of my stomach issues. I'm somebody who has had stomach issues over the last 2 to 3 years. There would be times where I would wake up, have really bad stomach aches, and not be able to have tons of appetite throughout the day. And something that Athletic Greens does is it really helps me have better gut health, more energy. And I'm somebody who has always really hated taking pills and vitamins, and Athletic Greens is a supplement that not only tastes good, but it's good for you. And really all it is it's 1 scoop of Athletic Greens, and it's actually really good. It has a nice peachy sort of orange taste, and you're absorbing in just 1 scoop of Athletic Greens 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and antigens to help you start your day right. And this blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. And the best part, in my opinion, is that it's cheaper than getting all the different supplements for yourself. So I've been using Athletic Greens every single day for the last 2 months, and I honestly love it. Like I said, it not only tastes good, it's super good for you, and it's got a nice tropical taste with it. And it's something that I honestly look forward to every single morning. And with Athletic Greens, it not only supports better sleep quality, recovery, mental clarity, alertness. It's one of the best things that I've implemented, honestly, into my nutrition and in my life. Athletic Greens uses the best products with the latest science, and also takes into consideration third-party testing, which is really important to me. So for Athletic Greens to make it easy, they're giving you 1 free year of supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com, MLB Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com, MLB Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So as I say, every single episode, we greatly appreciate you making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. So now make your second listen and check out the Locked On Now podcast. It recaps MLB games with analysis from your local experts, and it takes fans through the season like no other network. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So now looking at this third game of the Toronto Blue Jays series in Toronto, we're going to be seeing Michael Wacha on the mound for the Red Sox going up against Ross Stripling. And Wacha's a guy who has been, honestly, in my opinion, the most reliable Red Sox starter so far this season, sporting a 1.88 ERA and is coming off of a 5-inning performance against the Tampa Bay Rays where he only allowed 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and was able to only throw 2 walks and strike out 3. Even though his strikeout rate hasn't been super duper high, if you look at his 3 starts so far this season, he's allowed 3 hits or less. He's been really impressive, and he's somebody who I honestly gave a lot of crap to when the Red Sox first signed him because I didn't have really any confidence in him. When you looked at his stats, there wasn't anything to really get too excited about. But now, honestly, I have confidence. After his first 2 starts, I was very impressed, and now going into Michael Wacha's starts, I have confidence. But the big question is, how is he going to be able to fare against this high-powered Blue Jays offense? We've seen this lineup 1-9 is just so bulletproof good. And also looking at some of the statistics of Michael Wacha's performances against the Blue Jays over 4 games and 3 starts, not too great. 4.76 ERA, over 17 innings, but he did strike out 16 batters, but he also did allow 16 hits with 9 earned runs. And as I mentioned, the big question going into this game is how are the Red Sox going to use the bullpen? Looking at what they did yesterday, they used Austin Davis, Hansel Robles, Matt Strahm, Jake Diekman, Matt Barnes, Sawamura, and Ryan Brazier. That's pretty much everybody in the bullpen other than Tyler Danish and Garrett Whitlock. So, you know, when you look at guys like Strahm as well as Davis, and you can also say Sawamura as well and Brazier, they use them a little bit. You know, they used them for 2 to 3 batters. So we could potentially see some of these guys pitch a little bit tomorrow, but you're sort of limited with only Whitlock and Tyler Danish. And especially if Wacha is only going to go 4 to 5 innings, that's going to be tough. And this is something, even though the Red Sox bullpen has been one of the best in the MLB, and very surprisingly, I'm definitely not the only person who's nervous about this Red Sox bullpen. I think everybody in Red Sox Nation was nervous about this Red Sox bullpen. And they've impressed. But at the same time, with a limited bullpen, how is that really going to perform against a really, really, really good Blue Jays offense? We'll see. I'm very curious to see how tomorrow goes, especially with I'm very interested to see how today goes after what happened last night. I'm really hoping that the Red Sox come out with some fire. I'm really hoping that they took this loss to heart, like a lot of Red Sox fans like myself have. And I hope that they come out and, come out swinging and make it a game to where it's really hard for the Blue Jays to come back. But we've seen yesterday they were up 5-2 in the 9th inning, and the Red Sox have nobody to go in the 9th inning. This is just going to segue right into my rant. The Red Sox have nobody to go into the 9th inning, and it is just so frustrating for me because going into in my opinion, it's not even my opinion, it's just a fact. The most important inning in a baseball game is the ninth inning. It doesn't matter what the score is, or if it's a close game. Obviously, the closer needs to get it out, or the reliever needs to get the guys out to be able to win the game. But every single ninth inning, it's a question on who is going to be pitching for the Red Sox. And honestly, other than Garrett Whitlock and Hansel Robles, I have no confidence in this Red Sox bullpen whatsoever. And even though they've performed way better than anybody is expected, there's nobody reliable going in that ninth inning other than Garrett Whitlock. And that's a huge issue for a team that's a playoff team and is a team that was 2 wins away from the World Series and are going to be fighting to get further than that this next season. And if Chaim Bloom wants to get to that pinnacle of going to the World Series, he's going to have to go out there and get a closer. This closer by committee is ridiculous. It's absurd. And I don't understand like what the mindset was going into the season, what the justification was for them not going out and getting a closer. I don't know if they hope and prayed that, Matt Barnes was going to miraculously figure things out after his second half meltdown, but that's not working out. So you need to find somebody reliable for the ninth inning, or Red Sox fans are going to have heart attacks every single night. And we're only in April, and this is a ginormous issue. The team is 4 games under 500, and I understand it's still very early. But I'm not trying to still keep on talking about this crap in August, that the team has nobody reliable going in that last and most important inning of the baseball game. It's ridiculous. And Chaim Bloom, I always say, in Chaim we trust. But this situation in the closer position is absurd. Stop with the closer committee. Go out and find somebody reliable for this Red Sox team, or they're going to keep on losing these super close games. And it's just ridiculous. I'm done. And I'm done having confidence that in anybody who's going in the ninth inning, because Diekman, Barnes, even Strom when he goes in the ninth inning, Robles as good as he's been throughout this season, I still don't really have super duper confidence in him going in the ninth inning. And, you're trying to get Whitlock to stretch into a starter, and so you're not going to put him as your closer. Like, what do we want, a Daniel Bard situation again? This is just a ridiculous situation, and I am definitely not the only one who is feeling this way. So that's my rant. That's my TED Talk. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But wow. All right. Going into this third and final segment of the Locked On Red Sox podcast, we're going to do a little bit of a mental health minute. I feel like everybody needs it right now after that tough loss of last night. And I'm going to talk to you about some Built Bar real quick. So this is the time of the year where I pretty much give up all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right thanks to Built Bar. It's almost like it's not really a resolution at all, because I'm somebody who actually really enjoys eating them. I don't know if you've ever tried the Puffs, but if you haven't, you're missing out, because this is Built Bar's best tasting bars, and Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow that are fluffy, marshmallowy, and they're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. And all Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. They're low calorie, high protein, and they replace your candy. You can replace your candy bars with these, and they're actually better. So go to BuiltBar.com, scroll down to the micros chart, and you'll be blown away with the high protein, low calorie, high fiber, and low carb. We got a special offer for you. Go to BuiltBar.com, go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order. That's LOCKED15, 15% off your order at Built.com. Well, going to this final segment, I'm trying to think of some good mental health stuff that we can talk about. But I think what we can talk about is just being grateful for what you have, um, being grateful for who you have around you. Something that I've been doing a lot more recently is looking back at my younger self and how my younger self would look at me at the moment. And I'm somebody who's always dreamed of talking about the Red Sox on a regular basis and actually having people listen. And it really does mean the world to Lauren and I that, people take seconds out of their days to actually listen to our thoughts on this team. Um, and I'm so excited for the rest of this season, even though, it hasn't been going great for this team so far. But I'm really excited to continue to interact with the Red Sox Nation, continue to give you guys info, knowledge throughout this season and my thoughts on this team. As you could tell from the last segment, I'm super passionate about this team. I'm obsessed with this team. And the reason why I go on those little rants is because I want to see this team succeed. I want to see this team win. I'm not trying to watch a wasted season where there's just no hope in the closer position. I just think it's freaking ridiculous. But that's it for this episode of the Locked On Red Sox podcast. Greatly appreciate for everybody tuning in. If you have not yet, make sure to follow Locked On Red Sox on Twitter. We post Red Sox content every single day to keep you guys updated on all the latest Red Sox news. It's LO_Red Sox. You can follow myself on Twitter. It's at Jake Iggy, as well as my co-host Lauren. It's at three laws, Lauren with 4 R's. And we greatly appreciate everybody making the Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. And make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. But greatly appreciate everybody tuning in to this episode of the Locked On Red Sox podcast. And even though it's been a tough past few weeks, you could even say a tough season so far, all we can do is have faith. All we can do is have hope. And all you can really do is look forward to 5 episodes a week on the Locked On Red Sox podcast, Monday through Friday, to get some very entertaining and high energy Red Sox content. But I'm going to end it how we always end it. Let's go Sox. Peace.